The Winter Olympics on the BBC.
I am the maddening riddler, the mist that clouds your brain. I am the one who plagues your sleep. Nature is my name. The time is now upon us. The nerves begin to fray. Could it be, just maybe, I'll let you have your day.
Nature. Who will conquer it? The Winter Olympics start this Friday across the BBC.
19 minutes to 6. Now, there's been a mixed reaction to the news that the government will add a further £150 million to sport funding in primary schools. In an effort to get a legacy from London 2012, the Prime Minister says he's committed to guarantee primary schools sports funding until 2020. Active Gloucestershire, who coordinate these school games in the county, have welcomed the news. In a moment we'll talk with their Chief Executive, John Stevens. But first let's hear from one of the larger primary schools in the county at Bishop's Cleeve, just outside of Cheltenham. I asked Headmaster Steve Savoury for his views on this boost to sports funding for our primary schools.
Well, any additional funding is welcome. However, this particular funding is just going to allow us to continue what we do already, which is provide a fantastic PE offer for all our pupils, because the last 4 years we've had roughly 5% cuts in our budgets.
Right, so you feel this is a bit of a smokescreen then?
Well, I don't know about the smokescreen. It's obviously targeted funding, but for us, because we do such a good PE offer with many, many competitive sports and sports teams, and we use specialist teachers to provide that, because of the previous years of cuts in funding in education, this will allow us to continue with that offer.
Because when we hear about new funding, we're thinking, oh, great, so you'll be able to buy new equipment that you perhaps wouldn't be able to afford before. You'll be able to bring perhaps in a specialised coach every now and then that perhaps you wouldn't be able to before. But you're saying this is just to sustain what you've got?
Yes, and in fact we do bring in specialist coaches and we do provide specialist coaching because, as I say, we do a fantastic PE offer here and have always tried to. All this is meaning is that we are not going to, we won't have to cut that. Otherwise we would have to cut that. We were looking at cutting our specialist teachers because funding continues to be so tight.
So without the London 2012 Olympic and Paralympic Games and the legacy that came from it, we would have seen actually things fall away rather than stay as they are?
Well, school budgets are declining. We're losing at least 1.5% every year, plus inflation, which is greater than the money we've been given. Staffing costs are increasing. So, yes, school budgets are declining.
That's Steve Savoury, who's the head of Bishop's Cleeve Primary School. Listening to that was the Chief Executive of Active Gloucestershire, John Stevens. Good evening, John.
Good evening.
So is this good news for our primary schools or not?
Well, I think it is. If you take Steve's observations just now, I absolutely understand where he is. He sits in a school that has a tremendous offer, and his focus is how does he sustain that, and he can use this money to help deliver that. But there are many other primary schools, for all sorts of very valid reasons, who do not manage to make the same sort of offer that Bishop's Cleeve Primary does.
So this money, you think, then will be able to be used to buy in new equipment rather than just to keep things as they are?
Well, I think I'd sort of move the discussion off specific things like buying in equipment, because it's for head teachers to decide the best way to use this fund to achieve an uplift in their physical education offer. Now, if you're already operating at a level where your physical education school sport offer is fantastic, then you will think very carefully about how you use the fund to sustain that and not let it be eroded. Mm. But in other areas, this is a fund that heads can look at what they do and say, well, actually, if we spend a bit of that money in this way, we can upskill some teachers, we can bring in high quality and appropriate coaches, we can maybe boost some of our equipment, although there are other funds that schools can bid to for that. But overall, I think it's tremendous news.
So you believe in the legacy, then?
Yes. Yeah, I would say that, wouldn't I? But, every day my colleagues and I see signs of legacy across the sort of sporting landscape, which is not to say that it's very difficult out there at the moment. Particularly public sector budgets have been hit hard.
And how important is it to get into the primary schools? Because that's where this money's been targeted, isn't it?
It's absolutely vital. If I could just sort of give you a few stats. Nearly 9% of children entering primary school in Gloucestershire are already registered as obese. That has gone up to 18% by the time that they enter secondary. And actually the adult, that 16-plus population in Gloucestershire, is about 25% of that population qualifies as being obese. The costs of physical inactivity in the county equate to about £8.5 million per annum in healthcare. So, we can't, as a society, simply allow that sort of scale of problem to build up in the way that it is at the moment. So we have to tackle that. And we need to achieve three things, I think, for primary-age kids. We need to find ways of introducing physical activity and fundamental movement skills in a way that will excite and capture and retain their interest. And if we can do that, we can build on those skills in a manner that is child-centred and allows progression as they grow and learn. And if we've done that, we can then start to provide choice and opportunities so that they can sample a wide range of activities and sports. And if we put those things in place with our colleagues in primary schools and other sort of community organisations providing sport for young children, we've laid a foundation for a lifelong interest in physical activity and sport. And I think we'll make a major contribution to that battle against, or the battle to reduce obesity and to improve physical and mental health and well-being.
John, nice to talk to you this evening. Thank you very much for joining us.